and welcome. We're going to take a good look at And Now Let's Handel by Michael Proksch. We're going to take it apart, look at hands separately, and work out what's going on here. How is this music influenced by the music of Handel? Now, it is a pattern-based piece, isn't it? Let's start off with the right hand. So there is a pattern that then moves down by a step. And another step. Careful of that little kink. And on that E in that bar, I did fourth there, equally well fifth. Can set you up quite nicely as well. So there's a pattern there. Is the top note important, or is the scale coming down? Well, we certainly don't want to overstress the top note, and the ear somehow picks up that descending scale, doesn't it? The whole thing creates the pattern. Now, what is going on here? I think there's an underlying chord sequence. And before we go any further now, let's just take a moment to listen to part of an original Handel piece. It's the final movement of his seventh suite, the Passacaglia. And a Passacaglia, in essence, is a chord sequence that is repeated over which patterns are created. That's exactly what this is, isn't it? It's a Passacaglia. But let's have a listen to Handel's original, and this is a chunk in the middle of the Passacaglia that sounds remarkably like our piece. So I transpose that into R key, which is A minor, the original being in G minor. But let's go back to R key now, and our chord sequence here. I think we've got the chord of A minor. To start, we are in A minor. And then we go round the circle of fourths. Circle of fourths. A takes us to D. Takes us to... going up a fourth each time. Now this ought to be a B there, I'll come back to that chord in a minute. And that circle of fourths leads us very neatly back round to where we started, and off we go again. You can see why this Passacaglia thing comes in. Now then, Michael Proksch changes one chord, doesn't he? A, up a fourth, up a fourth, up a fourth, to F. Now he puts a B flat chord in here instead of a B chord. And that B flat chord leads very nicely to chord 5, which takes us back to where we started. That B flat chord has a name. It's built on the flattened second degree, and it's called the Neapolitan chord. It gives us that sound. Let's not dwell too much on that. Let's go back to now bar 9 and carry on with our right hand. So it's the right hand's turn now to play these chords, nice triads. And we're using different inversions of our chords, so that the chords just gradually head up the piano. And there's definitely a sense of growing here, a sense of crescendo, and dying away before the right hand continues with some patterns. Now if the opening was a descending scale, here is ascending. Down a step, but slightly altered, isn't it? The pattern doesn't quite repeat, so we do need to be careful. A little bit of a writ in that bar. he's asked here to slightly stress the middle voice. That means it's that descending scale. I'll overdo it for you now. You get the idea, but slightly stress it. I'll keep going. Yeah, careful getting onto that F. It's quite easy just to miss that F, isn't it? Let's try the fifth finger on that E before we go back again. And when we do have to do the repeat for the exam in this piece, and I don't think there'll be any surprises, jumping to the end. Nice big chords. And you'll need to decide how you want to play the end in terms of your dynamics. Are you hearing the end sort of mezzo forte? Are you hearing it dying away? Perhaps you're hearing the opposite. I'm getting louder. Incidentally, all my recordings are on a digital piano and the dynamic range is very tiny, but I hope you heard a bit of a crescendo there. So make up your own mind. I think, for me, the getting loud at the end one doesn't really fit in. I think, if anything, stay mezzo forte, but I think the dying away one worked well as well. Now then, let's have a look at the left hand. It starts off by playing the chords, and you'll need to think about, do I want to play this legato? As legato as I can, or am I going to play it slightly detached in a sort of baroque style? Let me just play the first line with both hands together. I'll do the legato first of all. Detached. I think they both work, so you're going to have to think about what is best for you. So let's go through it now. Fourth on the A might be a good idea because it just sets up the hand, doesn't it? But for that one, I think you have no choice but other than to leap. Fourth there again, if you'd like to, but I quite like the third there going to the second, so that when I play the A again, there's a change of finger. And now the left hand has a chance to play some pattern. There's the A chord, moving to the D chord, G chord, C. You get the idea. And then it carries on, just as it started really. I seem to have drifted into a more legato style. First time bar. And I think we do want to bring out those notes. They beautifully bring us back into our chord sequence. Now I've got quite big hands, so this is comfortable for me. It's not a big deal. But I can quite see for a smaller hand, there's going to be a lot of leaping around. So take it nice and steadily. Perhaps say the chords as you go. C, an F chord, the B flat Neapolitan, leading to the dominant, which is E. And then we go around the loop again. And as before, the final line, when you get there, shouldn't pose too many problems. So it's an interesting piece, based on the idea, I think, of a Passacaglia, like the one that I showed you, the very famous one by Handel. A repeated chord sequence, pattern-based, and the pattern is sometimes here, sometimes down here. And the dynamic range is not very great. Basically mezzo forte all throughout, but I would make something of that crescendo in the third line, dying away at the end of the first page, and then have a think about how you want to play the end. Are you going to keep it mezzo forte, or perhaps you're going to die away? And the touch of the left hand, how should it be legato, should it be slightly detached? And something I haven't mentioned at all is pedal. In my original recording of this, I used the pedaled for each bar, and that also works quite well. Here's just the first line again. Well, the first two lines. That creates a wonderful effect too. And I wouldn't say that was wrong, but I would suggest that learning it, first of all, do it dry without any pedal, and then have a think about whether you want to add some or not. It's a great piece. Have a lot of fun learning it. Take care. Bye-bye for now.